Oh, but the governor also said that if the universities and colleges try to make up the cut mostly, all or mostly through tuition hikes, that will be his tipping point. That then he will look and really try to reorganize the organization so that universities don't have the autonomy to do that.
What do you say, Doctor?
I think that's exactly correct. But I think if you look back at the history of the conversation, there are many of us who said that long before the governor did.
College presidents.
College presidents, absolutely. I said it from the very first meeting I had with my students. I said, if this goes through, there is no way I will make up this difference only with tuition. But you have to understand, just as the governor said, it's just a checkbook. It's money coming in and money coming out, so therefore we will have to cut services. I also wish in this conversation that there would be more questions about what were some of the decisions, because the budget has been being cut for 4 years. Let me give you some examples for the College of New Jersey. I'm sure if I had other colleagues here, they could give the same. In the last 4 years, we have cut $2 million out of personnel, all of it in the staff side, because we thought it was important to preserve the faculty and the academic core. We have actually, in this period, grown full-time faculty by 5%. Why? Because we think that's better for students.
What's the impact of these cuts?
Well, there are lots of services that the students don't have anymore.
Be specific.
We have advisement that's now being shared by departments. We have certain kinds of services with regard to student life programming that has been pulled back on. There are certain areas that I will not pull back on and have not for 4 years, like safety. Safety and security, and that safety and security has to do with student safety, but it also has to do with data safety. So we are investing in protecting the infrastructure. And I think that I'm sure I have other colleagues who could provide the same kind of evidence with regard to, I am disturbed by some of the stories that we have heard with regard to UMD&J. But maybe if people would inquire, what has happened with your recent state audit? You would get the answer that you would get from me. We just recently had a state audit. And they had two findings. One was that, in fact, we had a couple of timesheets, student timesheets, worker timesheets, that were not properly signed. Okay.
So the bigger picture.
And the second
example of your university, the one that predominates, or the example of UMD&J?
I believe ours is the one that predominates. But I think the question has to be asked first and not assumed one way or the other.
Okay, so let's play this out in the minutes we have left. And I want to be clear. Our sister series is doing a program, Caucus New Jersey is doing a series that we've done every year called Democracy Works, and in fact your institution is our academic partner in this, and we've had this discussion. But I have to ask you something. In the end, when we have Governor Corzine participate in Democracy Works in focus groups with real people asking him real questions, in the end he has to make this call with the legislature. I have to ask you, where do you think it's going to wind up? It's $169 million plus another $20 million cut. It's the biggest cut that he's proposed. In the end, if you're a betting person, where does he wind up?
I believe that there will be restoration, that it will be moderate restoration.
Moderate. Will it be cut in half?
Certainly no more than that. I would love for it to be
cut in half?
No, maybe a quarter. And I think another thing we have to look at is the sales tax. This budget, as devastating as these
Say the sales tax doesn't happen. Say the governor cannot convince members of the lower house of the assembly
as we speak.
to go from 6 to 7%, which means about $1 billion of revenue the state won't get if the sales tax isn't increased. What do you say then?
Yeah, then I think the cut stays as it is.
Oh.
Without the sales tax?
Without the. Oh. Because without the sales tax, you're taking $1 billion.
Dr. Gitenstein just fell off her chair.
Well, go ahead. How are you going to make up $1 billion more?
Yeah. I'm going to be a little more optimistic. I'm going to say it's going to be less than half. I think the original proposal is kind of almost like a bargaining tool in some sense.
Like it really doesn't mean it?
Yeah, it's a bargain. Kind of because then the cut will be, so if he says 169 million and the cut's 100 million, you'd be like, I scale back the cut.
Would that be satisfactory to your organization?
No, it would not be at all. Zero budget cuts is what we're asking for.
But I think that, I think the governor was also sending a message which resonates with me, is that I am serious about this and that I do want to come up with a budget that is as straightforward and forthright as possible with as few gimmicks. And certainly we've seen plenty of gimmicks in the past, and I admire that. I just don't think he chose the right point.
Wait a minute,
somebody else.
Dr. Gitenstein, someone might say, when they hear what you just said, I really, really appreciate and respect the governor, because I bet a lot of other people representing a lot of other constituencies would say the same thing. But then when you say, respectfully, but he picked the wrong target, I guarantee you that the handicapped community
Would say the same, I agree.
That the vocational school system, that people who don't want to pay more in sales taxes, everyone's going to say, don't tax me, don't tax the guy behind the
Gitenstein, let me ask you.
Why
Let me ask you the same question that I asked Jeff earlier.
Because we shouldn't have the size of it.
Well, let me not do that. Let me just ask you, what would be the consequences to the universities if, in fact, these cuts stay pretty much as they are? Concretely.
Concretely. There will be fewer ancillary, non-academic support
Make that real.
services. At advisement, additional student services kinds of activities.
Fewer classes?
Probably fewer classes, or class sizes going up.
Fewer poorer students being able to attend the university?
Very many fewer poor students attending. And also, I think you would see the kinds of outreach that we have been doing, all of us have been doing, with regard to supporting our communities, limited tremendously.
In 1 minute, Jeff, what would be the effect to you and to your peers?
They've already started cutting classes. We've already had meetings in our department that they've zeroed out classes.
Zeroed out?
Zeroing out a class means nobody can sign up for it. So if the budget cuts are restored, that means we'll actually open up the class. But for now, you get the class and it looks like the class is closed. It's still up there, though. They've talked about increasing class sizes by 10, possibly 20%, which is going to mean that people can't get the classes they want. And also, if you think about it, people are working more to pay for this college, so they have less opportunity to get the class. You're talking about people staying in college 6 years. You're talking about increasing college rate. The New York Times had an article called "The College Dropout Boom" about a year ago. This is becoming a serious crisis, and I don't think the public wants this. And when you talk about,
What do you mean? People are just dropping out?
Yeah, the people are not able to. Well, they don't drop out. They plan to return, but they got to go make some money before they come back. And most never return.
And the organization, Penn State University, what will it do if the cuts aren't rescinded?
Well, we will continue to organize it, and we will fight to restore those cuts. Our eventual plan is to roll back tuition all the way to make.
But how can you wage a fight that you will win? Well, what will you do concretely?
Well, I think empowering students is the most important thing, that they're not empowered at this point. And I think what we do is practice democracy so that they are empowered.
Jeff, before we get out of here, I think you just said your goal is to make tuition be free.
That is an ultimate goal.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, we got to run on that note. Thank you all very much. It's been a very interesting discussion. And that's it for this edition of Inside Trenton. From my colleague Steve Adubato, I'm Rafael Piraman. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Remember, we'd like to hear from you, so please call us at 1-800-426-7027, extension 8799. Email us at insidetrenton@13.org, or write us at the address on your screen.